Magical Mystery Cure opens immediately with the musical number as the scene portrays closely to the opening sequence from Beating the Beast. Ponyville is extremely active, providing much optimistic atmosphere until it gets interrupted when Twilight gets splashed on by Rarity with a rain cloud. Starting with her as Dash's cutie mark, it's at this point that the episode has the main six and their cutie marks mixed up to one another, and their talented counterparts are a trouble to the town with no end. Twilight heads back to the library and remembers how it all started. Turns out the night before when the mistake occurred, Twilight accidentally unleashed a spell from Starswirl as it wasn't finished, thus actively disrupting the elements of harmony. Throughout the rest of the episode, since she can't reverse it, Twilight helps out with the friends in helping each other and proactively getting back to their own proper place. Twilight then figures out the words on finishing Starswirl's spell, thus bringing up the second half of the finale. The elements of harmony teleported her to a space dimension where Princess Celestia meets up with. Through a detour of the previous episode clips and a first-time ever song from Celestia, she tells Twilight about her accomplishment of a spell that Starswirl couldn't figure out. He didn't understand friendship as much as Twilight did, and as a special benefit and reward, Twilight is then crowned as an Alicorn princess. This is as straightforward as it can get. It was a massively energetic, adrenaline-rushing, well-executed, and extremely overwhelmingly positive episode to no end. The animation is great, the visuals were great, the songs were fun, and the atmosphere was just unbelievably awesome to feel. My heart was pumping when watching this. Unfortunately, at the same time, I was thinking to myself, man, this is never going to calm down, it's just going to go on. And that's what the biggest problem here was. This finale was way too rushed. Everything was so fast-paced that after finishing the episode, there was not a minute to spare or breathe or indulge or digest a second of detail. From a 22-minute length, it almost felt like it was half the time when watching it. It's from this point forward, this should have been split into two parts. There would have been the same amount of excitement, but with the extra time to breathe. But instead, it's just exciting moment after exciting moment after exciting moment. And it kills me to criticize that to death. It was so much fun, but it also amounts to one massive flaw. What was the full detail behind Starswirl? I mean, hell, I didn't even know he was a mentor of Celestia. Wherever did they explain that role? I'll admit, I'm being too nitpicky here. In the writer's defense, being Emily Larson on this one, the staff was pretty forced by Hasbro since they're just eager to sell the toys and entertain the young girls. As you can already tell, throughout most of their time, there's been a lot of aggravation between them. I'll not go far off topic on that, but the amount of pressure the writers had to assemble and write out, it's their biggest obstacle that remains to be. It's pretty easy to say that with all the issues with the staff and their struggles that they face, they put forth as much effort as possible here, and clearly the episode shows. If DHX Media can pull that off, then you can pretty much tell they exploit on all the quality as best they can, unlike some corporations who pretty much care for money and money only. Upon further defense, some people really enjoy the fast pacing instead of watching a story split into two, feeling it's too watered down or by exposition. I understand their perspective, but I personally prefer exposition and time for creative merits to exploit upon, especially considering that's the show's biggest highlight of entertainment. The musical numbers work here very effectively. From Morning in Ponyville to different songs provided, Daniel Ingram did a bang-up job composing every single one of them. I can't go over all the songs since there's way too many to go by, but I will go over my personal favorites. I've Got to Find a Way is a good start, bringing out that letdown feel where you can really sympathize with Twilight's frustration. I especially love its build-up through its dull color scheme and the R&B beat. It really makes me feel cold as the song builds up. Next is A True True Friend. I love that the main six are gathered together and helping one another, and it really establishes the meaning of friendship, hence the title, and Starswirl's spell. The song really pays off with its large drums near the end of the song. And lastly, Celestia's ballad. This to me was a huge surprise.
You've come such a long, long way, and I've watched you from that very first day, to see how you might grow, to see what you might do, to see what you've been through, and all the ways you've made me proud of you.
The fact that Celestia had her own musical number, this was something I was never expecting throughout the show. There have been some questions and talk in the past about Nicole Oliver on behalf of this, but since the show had a long run so far, I thought it was never going to happen. Furthermore, Nicole did a great job on her part. William Anderson is of course no exception to the background music. After Celestia's ballad, I was sucked into his music throughout Twilight's transformation sequence and the exposure of her wings in Ponyville. I also love how the moral tackles on destiny and how you can sometimes have to explore upon yourself to new opportunities. The way the other characters intend to be proactive, it really shows. That I find to be a better direction instead of some random spell that Twilight wanted to find. Many of us in our lives wanted to do something at one point, but we wind up as something else. I won't go too personal, but life is full of risks, and for the most part, it involves reaching out your comfort zone. If the main stakes didn't explore society's contributions, they wouldn't have reached out their comfort zone and go back to their heart's content. And of course, there's the biggest highlight of the episode, Twilight as an alicorn. People went nuts over this. Anger was spread throughout the fandom. It spiraled out of control so much that satirical reaction videos were made with no hesitation. What do I think of this whole direction of the series? Well, I too felt uncomfortable about this, but at the same time, I already suspected this to happen. A lot of us did. What made me feel uncomfortable about it was that I predicted it would have been a conclusion to the entire series. Hell, the way the episode was played out, it felt like a series finale. All the showings of the previous episodes, flashbacks reminded us good time to the series, and the overall drama that was crammed in throughout the whole episode. Yeah, that felt like a finale, but it wasn't. Though ironically, A Can't Allow Wedding felt more like a movie instead of a two-parter. The action, the build-up to an unexpected twist, the musical numbers, an overall epic story about suspicion and change in family dilemmas, and the somewhat Disney feel from the Age of Renaissance. But I digress. Mystery Magic here is set up for the next season. Well, that and Hasbro wanted it to be a new toy campaign. But for more about Twilight as an alicorn, I'm going to save that for later. So while this was heavily rushed, was it entertaining? You bet your ass it was. But it's heavily flawed. It's too cram-packed with too little time to breathe, and there's so little detail that can be explained more by a need of more time. I guess it can be explained in Season 4 for any mythological points of the show. I can at least hope so. I personally enjoy this finale, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's great. I actually want to love this episode, and I almost do. But again, the one massive flaw swings by, and it's just so distracting. I know I'm beating a dead horse, no pun intended, but it seriously can't be ignored. But on a whole, I take it for what it is. The songs were great, the plot elements were great, and the moral was nice, and the optimistic feel is just incredible. And that's enough to satisfy my entertainment. All we can do now is just wait for what Season 4 beholds.